It's never too late to be whoever you want to be. You can change or stay the same. There's no time limit. I hope you live a life you're proud of, and if you find that you're not, I hope you have the courage to start all over again. F.S. Fitzgerald. We live in a culture that celebrates youth and is always in a race to achieve some kind of success. If we don't know exactly what we want to do with our lives by the time we're 18, then there must be something wrong with us. And if we haven't made it by 30, it means we're a failure. All of this is absolute nonsense and definitely not how it worked out for me, but I'll talk more about my journey later. Lots of us fall into believing, mostly because of societal indoctrination, that artistic or creative pursuits are only for the young or for those who have the privilege of having loads of free time and resources in their hands. However, not only does starting an artistic journey provide an incredible opportunity for personal growth and fulfillment for pretty much anyone, but it can also be financially rewarding for those who persevere if they're looking for their art and artistic skills to become a source of income. Art is healing in so many ways, not only for the creator of the piece, but also for those who get the opportunity to appreciate it. Not to mention, if you're the type of person, like myself, that feels compelled to create and to develop artistically, setting aside this desire for too long can lead to depression and a deep regret that you didn't start sooner. This definitely happened to me. Today, I feel compelled to send out the message that it is never too late to start getting serious about your art journey, and that if you feel a tug in your heart telling you to draw or paint or sculpt or whatever it may be for you, it is for a reason. I would also love to share today some of the many examples of successful artists who did their best work and gained recognition until later in their lives. Claude Monet didn't find his signature style that he is known for today until after 40. He had painted some in his 30s, but it wasn't until his wife passed away later on that he decided to devote more time to his art and eventually found his voice. Anna Marie Robertson Moses, better known as Grandma Moses, got serious about painting until she was 78 and was discovered when she was 80. Her works have been shown and sold in the US and many other countries and have been displayed in collections in many museums, winning numerous awards. One of my favorite artists, Edward Hopper, didn't sell a painting until his 30s, and he struggled financially for decades before getting noticed in his 40s. Abstract artist Vasily Kandinsky had a completely different type of career. He was actually a lawyer and economist and didn't touch a paintbrush until age 30. He gained worldwide recognition in his 40s. Paul Cézanne tried to get into the French School of Fine Arts in his 20s, but failed the exam and didn't get accepted. His work was also rejected multiple times when he tried to exhibit in the well-known Parisian art salon. His work was considered difficult to understand and ridiculous. He finally gained some accolades in his 40s after being mentored by Camille Pissarro and other artists. Cézanne had his first solo show until he was 56. Louise Bourgeois had her first solo show in her late 30s. She is most recognized today for her Mammon sculpture, which is the largest spider sculpture ever made. She created this piece when she was 88 years old. Mark Rothko painted for decades before finding his distinctive abstract style in his 40s. He gained notoriety until he was in his 50s. As an American artist trying to make her way in Paris, Marie Cassatt had her first exhibition with the Impressionists at 34. Abstract artist Lee Krasner had her first solo show at 42. Her career took off only after her famous husband, Jackson Pollock, passed away. Another example that I want to share is Japanese printmaker Katsushika Hokusai created his famous work, The Great Wave, in his 70s. Though he did create work in his 50s, which was mainly manga and woodblock prints, which was quite popular, he once said, and I quote, Until the age of 70, nothing that I drew was worthy of notice. And finally, I want to share another example of an artist who is living today, and she is Lisa Congdon. Lisa Congdon is a completely self-taught artist, illustrator, and author, and her career as an artist didn't really start taking off until she was 40. Before then, she worked at schools as a teacher and administrator. She is incredibly well known and very successful. I know that with all of these super young and seemingly successful artists constantly popping up on our screens and social media feeds, it can be easy to forget that it takes time for artists to truly hone their skills and find their unique voices. And even when they do get there, they still continue growing and evolving. Learning is never ending in an artist's journey. It's a path of never ending growth and development. The fact of the matter is that all of this takes time, and it's ultimately more about the process, the work, the journey itself, more than the actual final products that you create. It's about the growth and the discoveries that are made as you're creating your pieces, and the consistency of that work done over time. That's what increases the quality of your work. And so because of this, there is no ideal time for you to become an artist, and it's never too late to start. And there are actually certain advantages that starting later in life can have when it comes to being an artist. Like, for example, when you're older, it's likely that you know yourself much better than when you're young, and you have experienced things that you can use to inspire your art. These things can help you develop your artistic style and voice much faster. Another thing is, after a certain age, you're a lot more likely to be financially stable than a young person. This can provide at least a bit more freedom to invest in art supplies, classes, and other resources that can help you improve faster. The third thing I can think of is after age 40 or 50, you're likely going to have more time than you did in your younger years when you were establishing yourself in whatever professional area it is that you worked in, or if you were raising children, they're probably much older now. This extra time can be used to focus on honing your skills and finding your voice. And if you have your own business or you're a very busy person, you're taking care of parents or whatever the case may be, remember that even 15 minutes a day can take you far if you stay consistent and you know what to focus on. Another thing is when you're older, you're likely to have job experience, which can be incredibly helpful for an artist looking to make an income through their work. Things like communication skills, meeting deadlines, and time management are all super essential to an artist's success when it comes to building an art business. Personally, I am 4 months away from turning 39, and I'm just now starting to make a sustainable, consistent income via the business that I started around my art and art skills. And I have a long way to go before getting to where I want to get to, both in terms of my art skills and my finances. Even though I knew I wanted to pursue a career in the arts since a young age, mostly because it was the only thing that I was good at, I was terrible at pretty much everything else in school. And I was also fortunate to be able to study for a BA in graphic design with a scholarship. Pursuing graphic design seemed safer at the time than a fine arts degree. I had regular jobs for a very long time before starting my own business. It wasn't until my early 30s that I began toying with the idea of going off on my own, and I started creating a plan to eventually be able to leave my job. Those highly demanding full-time jobs left me so mentally and physically drained that I had no time and no desire to devote to my own art. But even though I was unhappy and exhausted working these jobs, I was just too scared to leave what seemed secure. Because I too believed that if I went off on my own as an artist, I'd surely starve. I knew of successful artists, but I surely didn't have it in me. I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the tenacity, I didn't have the people skills, I didn't have the contacts, I didn't have anything special. So why even bother? Why bother when I knew that I would fail? I never even started sharing my art on social media because, what for? I would be an employee for the rest of my life anyway. I didn't even make time to think about what I really wanted for myself and just kept on in the rat race, doing my best to ignore that I had a huge hole inside. I did my best to set my unhappiness aside, and I just kept doing what I thought society expected me to do for a very long time. Finally, there came a point where I decided to take up painting again and develop my skills further. I had some drawing skills, very, very basic painting skills, and I hadn't actually painted in like 7 or 8 years. I did this primarily in weekend mornings and when I had breaks or holidays. I discovered watercolor and I quickly became obsessed with the medium. All I could think about when I was at work was getting home and drawing and painting and developing my skills further. Once I had progressed my skills more, I started selling my art and teaching out of my little home studio, which was my living room at the time. All of this while still working my last regular teaching job. In just a few years, I had taken what I was doing locally to the online space and eventually left my teaching position to be able to give my all to growing my business. Today, 7 years later, I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I am so grateful that Erica from the past had the wisdom to prioritize her interests, her needs, and eventually, because of that growth that came from that, had the courage to give it her all. Today, I make a full income doing what I love and what I'm passionate about, which is to create art and help others grow as artists. And I understand that I had to go through everything that I went through, and that every single experience and the time that it took, it all made sense for me. It was all stuff that I had to go through in order to get to where I'm at today. And I am so grateful for those opportunities and the experience that they provided, because I am using all of those skills today as I continue growing my own art business. Not to mention, it was because of those jobs that I was able to invest in my art supplies and to be able to eventually set money aside to start my savings that would allow me to leave those full-time jobs and invest in building a business. Because in the beginning, my business wasn't profitable at all. When you first start a business, you're actually losing money. And there are investments that you have to make in learning and in tools in order to grow it. And so I needed that cushion. So even though it took me many more years to get to this point than other artists that I see online, I don't compare myself with them, because all of that is stuff that I personally had to go through. And however long it took, that made sense for me in my specific situation. I feel so blessed and I wouldn't change a thing. And though I know I still have plenty to learn and to develop, I'm taking my time and I'm enjoying the journey. I'm also making sure to take care of myself both mentally and physically, which is something that I never had the time to do before. But I'm not rushing this. I refuse to rush and to feel pressured as I move forward. As long as I continue having my end goal in mind, which is to grow as an artist, and I chip at it every day, I'll continue making progress in this area that I know I was made to grow in, and I know that at the end of my life, I'll be happy and proud that I stuck with it. Everyone starts somewhere, and everyone is on their own unique path and timeline. Many of us aren't fully clear on what we want to do with our lives until much later, after we've been through some stuff and have discovered some things. Many of us need to balance regular jobs and our art practice for years in order to support ourselves and our loved ones, which makes developing our skills take longer. Others are plagued with self-doubt, insecurity, and imposter syndrome to the point that they they don't even start, even if they do have the time and resources. And others that are lucky to have artists in the family and time and resources lack the motivation and the discipline that is needed to succeed as an artist. It's different for everyone. There is no need to rush or to feel behind or to compare yourself with anyone else. What matters is yourself and your own life and your own journey. Focus on that. There is no need to set unhealthy pressure on yourself to create your best work or to find yourself as an artist immediately. I know that we live in a world where we expect immediate gratification, but honestly, this can end up hurting you as an artist because this is a long game that we're playing. Pressuring yourself and having unrealistic expectations can be exhausting and can lead to burnout. For those of you who are older, who've already started and are going strong, keep going. I cannot tell you how jealous I am when I hear that someone has a grandma or grandpa artist or how they grew up with artist parents. The impact that you'll have on younger generations in your family or younger acquaintances can be profound, and the artwork you leave behind will be treasured. Also, through your work, you are indirectly inspiring others to be themselves, to pursue their passions, and to not be afraid to bring their unique light into the world. This is so refreshing and so very needed in a world of, well, people who don't really know who they are. Whatever your age is, it's never too late to do what your heart is telling you to do. Whatever you feel compelled to explore or to work on, go for it. Give it your all, and don't forget to enjoy the journey. Whatever your age is, you have plenty of time to move your skills forward in whatever area you're interested in and to bring many amazing creations into the world. You are the star, the main protagonist in this beautiful movie called Your Life. And this is not the end of your movie. It's actually the middle. This, my friend, is your time to shine. Thank you so very much for listening today. I hope that this was helpful and inspiring. If you have any thoughts of your own, go ahead and leave them down below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much, and talk to you soon.